It was late fall. The warm seasons had come and gone, and Christie could feel Christmas fast approaching. The leaves had fallen from the trees, and snow covered the ground like a great white blanket. The forest had taken on a haunted, eerie look. One evening, Christie was wandering about the outskirts of the mountain village, near the forest where he lived. The night was very dark. Most of the houses he came across were boarded up. This area must be the poorest part of the whole village, he thought. Then Christie noticed a faint light coming from a small, rickety house a short distance down the road. It seemed strange to him that a light would be shining in such a deserted place. He decided to check it out. He crept up to the old house and peered in the window. Much to his surprise, he saw a woman and 3 children huddled together, wrapped in a thin blanket. They looked very cold and hungry. A man sat at a table, his hands covering his face. "I don't know what we're going to do," he said finally, in a sad, empty voice. "There isn't any work in the village, and we have barely enough money to buy food and fuel. Christmas is coming. The poor children won't have a Christmas at all if our bad fortune continues." "We'll manage somehow," the woman said quietly. "It'll take a miracle," the man sighed. Christie was shocked and saddened by what he had just seen and heard. "I must do something to help this poor family," he thought. "I will go and find Grandfather Pine Tree. He will know what to do." Christie plunged into the woods in search of Grandfather Pine Tree. He didn't know where he should begin to look. Then he remembered Roscoe the rabbit, an old friend who knew the forest very well. "He'll know where Grandfather Pine Tree lives," he thought. "Hello there, Roscoe," Christie cried when he found him sitting on a fallen log sunning himself. "How are you, Christie?" Roscoe replied. "Long time no see." "Yes, well, I've been a very busy tree," Christie said. Then he went on to describe what he had seen on his travels. "I need to find Grandfather Pine Tree right away. Can you help me?" "Why, sure," Roscoe replied. "As a matter of fact, we had a long talk together just yesterday. Just turn left at the tallest red pine and right at the little stand of hemlocks, and you'll find him in the clearing straight ahead." "Thank you so much," Christie called, starting off through the woods. "By the way," Roscoe cried after him, "let me know if you need any help. I'll do whatever I can to help those folks." As Christie made his way through the woods, he realized that he was not far from the place where his little friend Misty lived. "I'll stop off and say hello," he thought with pleasure. When he reached the part of the forest where Misty resided, he was shocked to discover that Misty was gone. He noticed that many of the other trees in the area had disappeared as well. He felt confused, upset, and suddenly all alone. Hilda the hoot owl found Christie standing in the forest, looking bewildered. "I know what you're thinking, Christie," she said wisely, "and I can help you. A great many men from another village came and took all the trees for their families and friends at Christmas. If you hurry, you can catch up to them. They are not too far ahead of you." "But what can I do?" Christie asked, close to tears. "I know I must go to Grandfather Pine Tree at once. Only he can help me now." "Follow me," said Hilda. "I'll take you to Grandfather Pine Tree right away." As they darted through the forest, a freezing, cold north wind began to blow. The sky darkened to night in the wink of an eye, and a thick curtain of snow started to descend from the sky. With no warning at all, they were fighting their way through a blinding blizzard. Moments later, they realized they were lost in the woods. Christie was frantic. He was frightened and worried that he would never see his friend Misty again. All the same, he knew that he must keep on going. Hilda and Christie bravely fought their way through the blizzard for what seemed like hours. Just when they were about to give up, Hilda, the hoot owl, spotted Rhonda the reindeer through the storm. Over the howl of the wind, Hilda shouted, "Rhonda, we are trying to reach Grandfather Pine Tree. Can you help us find him?" "You're almost there," Rhonda called. "Follow me." They did, and within minutes they found themselves standing in front of Grandfather Pine Tree. Christie was overjoyed. He thanked his friends Hilda and Rhonda for all their help, then quickly explained to the wise old pine tree what had happened. Grandfather Pine Tree spoke. "We must summon your guardian angel tree immediately. There is no time to lose. Christie, you must turn around 3 times and whisper these magic words. Winter, winter, wonderland, guardian angel tree, I command. Appear to me from Christmas land." Christie did as he was told and whispered these magic words. Instantly, a brilliant blue light appeared, and Christie's guardian angel tree emerged through the blinding storm, as enchanting as ever. Christie told her everything that had happened. She listened to his story, then said, "You have done well, Christie. We must go immediately and rescue Misty." In 2 winks of a hoot owl's eye, the guardian angel tree had whisked him through the blizzard to where Misty lay on a big sleigh. She lay there with her eyes closed, looking small, sad, and lonely. In a split second, the guardian angel tree had passed her magic wand over Misty's treetop. Instantly, Misty was transformed into a beautiful Christmas tree, just like Christie. "You are now a beautiful Christmas tree," the guardian angel tree said, "and you will remain that way as long as you keep Christmas a very happy season. Remember also that I will watch over you always." Miraculously, Misty rose from the sleigh and stood there in all her beauty. "You have done well, Christie," the angel tree praised. "I am very proud of you. Now you and Misty must go back and help the poor family that you found at the edge of the mountain village." "But how can I help them?" Christie asked, feeling unsure of himself. "You will find a way, Christie," the guardian angel tree answered. "I have great faith in you. The storm has stopped now, so you should be able to find your way back on your own. I must return to Christmas land. I have a great many things to do before Christmas. Don't forget the magic words. Use them to summon me when you need me, wherever you are. Until then, have a very Merry Christmas, my friends." With that, the guardian angel tree disappeared as quickly as she had arrived. Christie and Misty were delighted to be together again. They held hands and danced through the snow, singing and laughing with joy. Soon they reached the place where Grandfather Pine Tree lived. He was delighted to see them together once again. Christie asked him what they could do to help the family who had nothing. The wise old pine tree gave them some good ideas, then sent them on their way to accomplish their task. Thank you, Grandfather Pine Tree," they called as they ran away together through the woods. Their first job was to find Willie the wolf, as Grandfather Pine Tree had suggested. They did, and after listening to their story, Willie said, "The first thing we must do is find a sleigh. Then we can take it to the old coal mine and bring this needy family a load of fuel to keep them warm." "I know where there's a big, brightly colored sleigh," Christie exclaimed. "I don't think the kind people who own it would mind if we borrowed it for a while, as long as we return it as soon as our task is accomplished." "That will do the job, Christie," said Willie. "Next, we must gather all our forest friends together and ask them to find some food and warm blankets. Let's give these people the best Christmas they've ever had." "All right," cried Christie and Misty in unison. "Let's get moving." The 3 of them set out cheerfully through the snow to find their friends, Hilda the hoot owl, Chirpy the snowbird, Freddie the fox, Roscoe the rabbit, Rhonda the reindeer, and Sammy the squirrel. They managed to round them up in no time and held a brief meeting in the woods. The forest folk agreed unanimously to help make this Christmas as happy as they could for the family. Then they all set out to find food, supplies, and warm clothing. The plan was to meet again in the woods at the edge of the mountain village on Christmas Eve. That magic evening arrived. The forest friends met as planned, and all had had great success rounding up supplies. They waited in the forest with great anticipation until they knew the poor family had settled down to sleep for the night. Then they all crept down into the village. It was dark, and there were no flashing lights in this part of town. It took them a while to find the rickety old house they were looking for. When they found it, they slipped quietly in the door, one by one. They began to work quickly, as morning would soon be upon them. At midnight, Santa Claus and his reindeer appeared in the starry night sky. His sleigh landed on the roof of the rickety old house. He grabbed his bulging red sack and popped down the chimney. Santa was delighted to find his forest friends all quietly at work in the little house. "Merry Christmas, Christie and Misty. Your guardian angel tree told me all about the good work you are doing. I am very proud of both of you and of all our forest friends too." Santa quickly filled the stockings with Christmas goodies and placed many colorfully wrapped gifts at Christie and Misty's feet. They thanked him for his kind words and wished him a Merry Christmas. Then, with a ho, 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 Santa disappeared up the chimney. He had many more stops to make that night before he could rest. As the first light of morning streamed through the windows, the family awakened. They were overwhelmed with joy and surprise at what they saw in the living room. There were 2 beautiful Christmas trees shining brightly with gifts, food, and warm clothing spread about beneath them. The table was laden down with a scrumptious Christmas dinner that was beyond anything the family had ever seen. "It's a miracle," the man cried. "A miracle," the children chanted and ran to see what wonderful gifts had been magically bestowed upon them. After the gifts had been opened, they sang songs and danced around the trees, while all the forest friends watched happily through the windows. The family eagerly sat at the table and ate their delicious Christmas dinner. Christie and Misty knew it was time to go. They had done everything they could do to make this Christmas a happy and joyful one for this family. They slipped quietly out the door to join their friends, who were dancing and playing games in the snow. The family heard laughter outside and ran to the door to see who it was. They saw 2 beautiful Christmas trees, an owl, a wolf, a rabbit, a snowbird, a fox, a squirrel, and a reindeer giggling and rolling in the snowdrifts. It was quite a sight. "Why, it must have been those 2 friendly trees and their happy little friends who have brought us all this good cheer," exclaimed the woman. Christie, Misty, and their friends knew it was time to go. They waved goodbye and shouted, "Merry Christmas!" as they set off into the woods. There they would live and wait patiently for another Christmas to come.